few things along the way. But I'm really grateful to be here. This wouldn't have happened unless Mr. Bennett, Alan Bennett, introduced me to Ken and suggested, because Ken was kind of wondering who would be in the gallery in the future. This is way last year sometime. And so Ken and I talked, and we got along okay, you know. We did good. And so this is where we are, you know. I mean, probably 160 hours later, I got this done. And, it's been an interesting life. I grew up with my father. He was a graphic designer. Back in the day, he was just called what did they call him back then? He did illustration, he did layout work, and he did magazine work and newspaper work, and he even supervised a photographer going down in the coal mines, because he worked for Joy Manufacturing, and they made like these things that looked like crayfish, and they would dig the coal, and they would have these claws that go like this, and they'd have a big auger in the front that would dig the coal out of the seam. And so I got to go down in the mine when I was 13 years old, and it was a lot of fun. So I kind of grew up with the arts all around me. My parents were deeply involved in the Pittsburgh Folk Festival, which was a really big deal. Anybody in here from the Pittsburgh area? Hey, come on in. You don't have to stand out there. Come on in, people. Come on, Martha. You don't have to be shy.
I have a drink. I can't get a drink.
There's no alcohol in that. Come on in. Yeah. So I guess what I'm driving at is it's good to expose yourself to a lot of culture, and don't be afraid to limit yourself. I think that's what this show meant to me. It was a way of displaying a lot of stuff that normally all wouldn't go in one gallery. And because we have traditional pieces along here, and with a little bit of a twist, and then we have a great big twist over here, and I'm experimenting with time on that wall, if you haven't noticed. And time is money. It will at least we not forget. Okay. You know, time is money, so that's why it's ticking. And they're all going clockwise. How about that? There's a couple motors here that are counterclockwise, because sometimes life is counterclockwise. I get to get a little philosophical here. And sometimes time goes really fast, and if you look around on the wall, it's there. Anyway, this wall here was inspired by my good friend out in the hallway, Lee McCaslin. And we did a canoe paddle this year, and Liana was there. Raise your hand, Liana. And Liana is our guest musician today, and she's also going to be at the Hut tonight. So stay up late to 8 o'clock and come on over to the Hut. And she will be there. And she's really an amazing singer, songwriter, and her bandmates are terrific. They all work well together, just like we did in our workshop today. We had a good time in the workshop. So, you know, you can see what I think about myself. And this picture here was inspired because Patty and I, this is my wife here, and without her I wouldn't be here. I would probably be in a gutter somewhere. So anyway, I was inspired to do this piece after visiting what's the museum in San Francisco? The really wonderful contemporary museum, art museum in San Francisco. And it's built, it looks like it's going to fall over. It's like on an angle. Some famous architect But anyway, I was going through the museum and everybody looked so sad and serious and all these portraits and stuff. And I said, doesn't anybody smile anymore in a picture? So I decided I'm gonna, it was the winter time when I came up with this idea. So I sat in front of my Mac, and it's got that little program in there called Photo Booth, and I just was making all these funny faces and everything, and then posterizing the pictures, and so we'll have to tell Martha this story. Yeah, right? Yeah, there she is.
Oh, there's a couple more.
You're so far in the back, I can't see you.
You're a Martha.
So anyway, I had fun. This was enlarged by projection. Okay, for those who are in the workshop today. So I projected. I made an acetate rendering on a piece of acetate with an inkjet. No, it was some other kind of printer, and you project it, and so that's how I made that, and it was accurate and everything. I don't want to make my tongue too big or too small. I want it just right. And notice my nose is a little crooked, but not nearly as crooked as George's. But,
Can I ask a question? Question.
and
Question.
George's nose,
Question.
yes.
Oh, yes, sir. Where is the hat? They said there's a.
Oh, I got this urge because the internet was kind of a new thing to me, you know, and I said, I gotta get some inspiration from the internet. So I went on the internet and I wanted to have a hat. And so I came across some theater group in Minnesota or someplace, and it was a state school in Minnesota, and they had some kind of avant-garde play, and they all had these weird hats, and I kind of fell in love with this. This was a glove hat. And so in Photoshop, I put my face in there, and I took the lovely lady out that was in the play, and I put myself in a play. And the glove was plain. It was just like white, and I decided it needed polka dots. So I put polka dots on it. And yeah, so that was fun. That was fun. I can talk about a little bit of this stuff. There's very traditional stuff. There's a watercolor down on the far left. That's my wife's family's place in Wellsboro, PA. It's still there, but it looks way better now. But her parents and a group of other people, like high school friends, bought that place, and I decided that it was good subject matter. And I'm always kind of puzzled with buildings that are in decay. You know, what are we looking at? Are we looking at the decay, or are we looking at what's left behind? You know, what's good about it? You know, but so that was fun. Watercolor's a challenging medium, and the other Coffee Bean Man is a stone lithograph, and that was done here in the old Allen Hall. And so that's done with, it was done, I remember drawing that late at night, like 3 a.m. I was in the studio. Of course, I know you guys keep better hours than that. So, but I printed that, a bunch of those. I think that's about my only one I have left. And then that's kind of an illustration drawing. I guess I was thinking about time again, and history, and periods of evolution. And then we have the tulip. That was sprouting this year and grew in our backyard. Patty has a green thumb. Mine's black. And this was done, this photograph was taken in one of the dorms over on that end of campus. And this was a friend of mine. If you ever run into Alexis Park, tell her that she's up on the wall. I've lost contact with her. But anyway, I draped a bunch of sheets over her, and so that's why there's all that white stuff kind of hiding most of her. And then I didn't do anything with the print for a long time, and then I printed it on matte paper This is old school photography. And then I drew over it. And I went through a period of time where I was doing a lot of that. And then this, I had a friend that went to school here, June Edwards, and she's a graphic designer. She married a guy by the name of Gary Jurista. He was teaching sculpture and drawing and painting up at Keuka College at the north end of Keuka Lake. And in the late 70s, he had models coming in for the community, and so we would all go and pitch in for the model, and we would do life drawing. So this is one of those, and it's a play on not drawing the whole figure and letting the mind take over. And that was a lot of fun to do. And I even got to do some finger painting. I would take my soft pencil and rub it on a piece of sandpaper and get the what's that stuff called? Graphite. And then get the graphite all over my finger, and you can actually see some fingerprints in there. So I try to be playful. You'll notice there's a juxtaposition of a little bit of seriousness in here. And this one here was when I first got involved with seeing what was going on, mostly in Pennsylvania and Colorado with the gas and oil industry. And so this is a statement of what I felt about that whole thing, because I've gotten to know a lot of people over the years that have had severe damage, water damage, mostly some air damage to their community and their environment through that whole process. And then I did make a film. It's not in the screening room, but I did make a film with some guys from Allentown called Groundswell, and it follows some activists through Pennsylvania, Colorado, and some people in California, and it explores the resistance to the fracking movement. And this wall, I don't know what I'm going to say about that, so I'll let Tom talk about that. What does that mean to you? But now, I had fun with this. This wall, I wanted to do something just brand new. I wanted to do something big. I try not to be intimidated by size, because I worked as a sign maker my whole career. So, doing stuff billboard size is no big deal. And so all this was rendered pretty accurately. Some of the design elements in here were moved around and changed a little bit. And but the inspiration for this really came from Lee McCaslin, my good friend, and we went on a canoe trip. I was invited as a filmmaker to go on a canoe trip with him. He's working with the Ramapo in northern New Jersey, and so I got to meet the chief of the Ramapo Nation, and we did a canoe paddle for 8 days that was ceremonial, very spiritual canoe trip. It was called the Paddle Against Addiction. And every morning, almost every morning, Lee would come to my tent before I was awake and say, "Dave, hey Dave, are you awake? Are you awake? If there was such a thing as time, you would be awake." And so he kind of ingrained this in my head. So a lot of the stuff in here are found objects, clock motors. Some of them are found. Some of them are purchased. I paid $1 a piece for the clock motors. You can get them online. Little battery-operated things. There's a couple reverse motors in there. I'll let you find them yourself. This motor here is doing some unusual things. It actually goes in two directions. So it'll go one way for a while, and then it'll go the other way for a minute. And why, I don't know. And this is an old display motor because my sign shop studio in Bath for quite a few years was in a old Hallmark card shop, and so there in the basement there was all these strange display things, and one of them was that motor that runs 3 times the speed of time. So that second hand runs around 3 times every minute. And anybody that wants to pull out their cell phone, check it for accuracy, please do so. So this, if you're interested at all, these graphics were put on the wall. These are the same kind of lettering stuff that are used in museums. It has a nice matte finish so that the lights don't make an awful glare. And it also has a removable adhesive, so you can get your fingernail under there carefully, and these will pull off. At least they should. We'll see. In fact, I see a little wrinkle right here. I'll straighten that out here. Okay. So Lee helped me on this. I bet you helped me for 3 days here. Hi, Gary.
Hey, Dave.
This is a classmate of mine from the early 70s. It's good to see you.
Good to see you.
Yeah, it's excellent. Excellent.
Hey, Tom.
Even dressed up. That's great. Yeah. So then we have George Bush Jr. clock over here, and I'll just let you figure out what you think it means to you. And that's got some moving parts. A number of years ago, I started thinking about motion, kinetic sculptures. There's been a lot of kinetic sculptures, but I've never seen much done with two-dimensional work, so I thought I'd play with it. And I think I will continue. We'll take a vote here today. Your ballots are out in the hallway, and you can let me know if I should continue with this. And then we get into the free-spirited stuff here. Over the years, I've done a lot of really tight renderings, and then you have to make them big on the wall. Like this was a pretty tight sketch done in Adobe Illustrator, and it's, like I said, it's pretty accurate. But then I wanted to loosen up, and so I think I watched the Jackson Pollock film, and I didn't care much for his personal behavior and how much he drank, but I decided that I would start doing what I call brushless painting. And that's where you throw the paint, or you squeeze it out. If I go to the dollar store and I buy ketchup and mustard squeeze things for picnics, and you fill them up with latex house paint. I go to Sherwin-Williams and I buy all the stuff that's expired for $3 a gallon. And this piece here is a collaborative piece. I did it with some students for a summer project, and it took about 5 minutes, I think, with probably 12 small kids. And I kept saying, don't put too much paint on, don't put too much paint on, but they did anyway, and it still turned out well. Yeah. So that was collaborative. The other pieces are mine. The one in the middle over there actually has alkyd enamel in it and water-based paint. So if you look at it closely, it does a lot of really cool things. Hi, Art. I have a friend here from Bath. He was in the Bath Racing Association with me. Good to be here. The material here, you'll notice that this is actually fabric. This is not canvas. This is polyester fabric, and you can pull an earth mover out of a big ditch with it if you wanted. It's that strong. This is actually conveyor belt material that I picked up in Athens, PA, just east of here. You know where that is, Gary. You grew up over that way. And anyway, Joe Mullen, I should have called Joe. Man.
Yeah.
No, I didn't. We'll get him here. We'll get him here. So anyway, this is the material that's used in between two pieces of rubber to make conveyor belts. And the stuff over here is also the same thing. And for some reason, some of the material, I think this is pre-vulcanized, and it has nothing to do with Star Trek. Okay? Nothing to do with Star Trek. But they put this black coating on to help the rubber stick to it. It's called vulcanization. So the black ones, that black material that's making the screening booth is the same stuff. But it's really incredibly strong. Just ask Lee how hard it was to work with. Yeah, we didn't lose any fingers cutting it, so that's good. So most of these paintings just go, I would say 30 seconds for the red one that looks like Japanese calligraphy over my funeral urn, and that's a collaborative piece. I was doing some reading about samurai tradition, and I was reading that the samurai have a meditative practice every day. And hi, Kathy.
Hi.
All these people showing up from everywhere. So I was reading about the samurai, and they contemplate their death every day, and it makes their perspective on life, more better. It's good English, right? They have a deeper understanding, appreciation of life, because they think about, oh, today a truck might run over me, or today some mean, nasty person might take me for a drink and it'll go bad on me. I don't know. But, all these things that you can think about. And so I started contemplating all that, and I got together with a friend of mine who made whistling ocarinas, and he's also a very good, that urn over there, that's a funeral urn, and it has my poetry on it, my calligraphy that I did with a cuneiform stick, and it's salt glazed. Alan knows all about this stuff. Salt glazed earthenware. Am I correct? Stoneware. And so there's a dragon on the top, and you blow in the tail of the dragon, and would you like to play it, Alan? You can. Okay, we'll do it later. So anyway, that's got some poetry on it. I think one of them says, "This ain't dust, it's Walzac." Very profound. And there's a glass sculpture in the screening area, and it's edge lit, plate glass. The piece way back in the early '80s cost me, I think, $175. It's not cheap. But it's edge lit with just a fluorescent tube underneath. And I built a case with countertop material and furniture grade plywood. And it's fun because I came downstairs one evening when my kids were little, and like my daughter was just staring in the edge of it. And there, what did you take? She was only like 5. And she said, "Look at this." And I said, "What?" And she said, "You can see all the images of the lettering, and they're all bouncing back and forth between each side of the glass. And it's neat. You look in there, and it sort of goes into infinity if you look in the edge of the glass, and you can see the graphic shapes and stuff. But it's a child's poem Do you remember it?
Sandblasting, right? I mean, you would have mentioned that.
That was done
yeah.
sandblasting, yeah, yeah. So, I don't know. A little bit of metaphor and all this stuff. I try to break the rules a little bit.
And why are the videos showing?
And the videos
In a
are...
nutshell, in a nutshell, in a nutshell.
In a nutshell. The videos I've been working, I got started on Groundswell in like 2011, and that was a 4-year project. And I kind of fell in love with storytelling and film, and so I'm still learning, but these are some pieces that I shot and edited myself, and so you get to see some people in Albany putting pressure on the governor to make New York State a more progressive state, one that would embrace renewable energy, blah, blah, blah. And there's some fun stuff in there. There's a little motion graphic of, I call them clock laws with the moving parts, like George's moving nose. And I think his nose is stuck. But that's okay. So, so there's actually a 1-minute segment in there. Oh, and then there's a book here that Patty's putting up.
And you want to thank Ken for all his hard work on
And
this.
Ken, all the
I got
hard
the
work.
digital files for you.
Yep.
Awesome.
And I've never met such a gracious gallery director who was just so helpful through the whole process, so I thank you
Oh, very well.
from the bottom of my heart.
I haven't had an artist that's been so willing to put everything up on your, you put
Yeah,
a lot into it.
but you
I've
helped
never-
on this wall.
Well, it was that. Well, that's
We got
just
this
one
up,
wall.
what was it, a half an hour? I think, man, we got it done lickety split. But it took an evening to put that up, I remember that. But yeah, I guess we can move along to Q&A, and Liana's here with her gang out in the lobby, and she's gonna play for us. And at the end of the talk, I have a little present for the gallery that we'll open up.
Do it now.
We can do it now? Want to do it now? Sure. I'm going to do it now. Yeah, this is the guy, he was my jewelry prof, and I'm going to bequeath these to you, and you might guess from the shape what this might be.
The door stop?
It's something that's very, very needed for the gallery. And anyway, I'll let you open it because the gallery is named after Tom Loomis, and he was a great professor. I learned so much from him. I didn't make a career in jewelry, but I love jewelry, and I actually have a ring that he didn't make, I didn't make, but some guys, Myra did. But we thought about Tom.
You want me to open this now?
Yeah, open it right up. Yeah. Yeah. You don't need to save the paper. I butchered it up pretty good trying to get it together over a triangle, That's a very symbolic box.
Focus is supposed to be on you, not me.
That's okay. We're all in this together. Yeah, George's nose is stuck. Wow. My kind of guy has got a
Oh,
jackknife.
Forgot my jacket.
Here. I just happen to have this.
And that's rare.
Here. I don't want this fine upholstery to get out.
Door stops.
Yeah, a